2 jets, 16 minutes. An air defense web with 240 radar stations goes dark in key sectors. You clicked for asymmetry, this delivers it. We're breaking down how a low-cost pair of modified MiG-29s allegedly punched through Panzer S-1 batteries, dodged a Cross-A4 EW unit, and left Moscow counting an estimated $620 million in damage. Was it decoys, anti-radiation timing, or a blind spot in the network? Stay with me as we map the cost exchange math and the sequence decoy UAV SEAD, then power hits step by step and test what's plausible, what's hype, and what every planner will study next. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. If a city shield has 240 radars, how do 2 jets slip through and flip the cost ledger in minutes? You start by changing the fight. You make the defender spend more than you do, faster than they can think. Here's the cost exchange problem in plain terms. On one side, attackers invest under $12 million in platforms, munitions, and a handful of sacrificial airframes. On the other, a layered wall worth billions, search and fire control radars, missile batteries, electronic warfare trucks, and a thick camera net that feeds operators and algorithms. Both sides claim coverage. Only one pays for every false alarm. More sensors don't always mean more safety. They mean more seams. Each radar hands off to another. Each camera feeds a different node. If you time your probes, stack decoys, and suppress a few key emitters, that web turns into strips of silence. The paradox is real. The tighter the net, the sharper the joins you can pry open. Start with decoy UAVs. Not toys, airframes tuned to reflect like bigger targets and to loiter along predictable lines. They drag point defense radars into the fight. Those radars must paint them to engage, and the moment they radiate, they mark themselves.
Biggest Russian drone and missile attack of the war. Ukraine says Moscow fired 550 drones and 11 missiles overnight. Ukrainian troops in action against drone attacks.
The drones kept coming in the darkest hours. The largest such attack since the start of the war.
Now anti-radiation munitions ride those emissions. You don't need a perfect kill. You need to blind a sector, break a link, or trip a breaker. Anti-radiation missiles work like heat-seeking dogs that hunt whistles. They lock onto the act of seeing. Hit a hub where several feeds converge, or punch the power to a cluster of antennas, and you collapse more coverage than the warhead alone could ever crater. That is why the goal isn't destroy every set. It's remove the right few at the right moment. Meanwhile, point defense logic is built for short-range, high-rate fire and quick decisions. It thrives on clear threats. Decoy saturation scrambles that logic. Cheap airframes force expensive interceptors into the sky, burn through ready missiles, and overload crew timelines. The defender faces a bad choice. Hold fire and risk a real target slipping in, or spend missiles on ghosts and invite the real strike on an empty rack.
In the last hour or so, we have had more air activity. We could see anti-aircraft fire in the distance. We could hear some distant explosions.
It's a nightly battle for this territorial defence brigade.
We don't know if we're in for another night like we had last night. Last night was one of the worst in the capital in recent months, certainly in terms of the sheer numbers of drones.
Most drones targeting Kyiv fly through here.
Electronic warfare adds another trade-off. Jammers deny radars and links, but the act of jamming is a flare in the RF night. When they emit, they advertise. When they go dark, they seed the sky. Either way, someone pays. An emitting EW truck draws anti-radiation shots. A silent one lets the decoys and strikers move with less friction. You push them to blink first. Now the cascade. A few suppressed radars open narrow holes. Holes become corridors. Corridors give the strike element a clean path to substations that feed the sensor net. Lose a substation and you don't only dim the lights. You force batteries onto backup, throttle mast rotation, and slow data links starved of steady power.
A night of terror in a capital under attack. Civilians forced to shelter underground from this waking nightmare. Here with only heavy machine guns in the Sumy region bordering Russia. What's the feeling for you and for your team when you see the drones getting through?
Well, it's not very good.
Communications begin to lag. Operators chase shadows on stale feeds. The window widens. All this happens on a clock. Decoys soak attention and missiles. Arms cut select emitters and switchyards. The strike pair crosses the corridor and hits targets tied to the defense's eyesight and backbone. The return route is shorter because the defender is now fighting blind in patches and deaf in others. Small hits, compounding effects. The money trail moves even faster than the jets. Thousands spent on decoys buys minutes of confusion and several expensive intercepts. A handful of anti-radiation shots, hundreds of thousands each, trade for sensors, power gear, and EW assets priced in the millions. The ledger doesn't stop at hardware. Operators lose faith in their picture. Commanders hedge. The public hears mixed alarms. Credibility bleeds value you can't insure.
An unequal fight.
You feel a slight sadness, but to be honest, as you have seen, you don't have time for emotions. One comes in, and another can come right behind it.
This is the story of how cheap beats complex without magic. Only timing, target choice, and pressure on the right seams. The lesson for you is simple. Don't fight the whole wall. Fight the joints that hold it up. If you want to understand the tactical mindset that wins these battles, subscribe now. But numbers on a graphic don't prove an operation, so next we stress test what's plausible, what's hype, and where the evidence goes thin. Expensive shields crack at the seams. Not by brute force, but by timing, decoys, and selective strikes that buy air even under a dense net. Hit the joints, not the wall. Future fights will chase nodes. Power, comms, sensors. Shut a substation, stall a router, quiet a radar, and the picture goes grainy. Planners will harden these links. Attackers will hunt the handoffs. That duel sets the price of a night. If you value sober breakdowns over noise, subscribe and tell me, what's the next weak seam modern planners should fear? Comment your choice below. Two jets don't end wars. Smart tactics rewrite the bill.